Chapter 3, Step 1, Bless. The principles of Luke10 transformation are based on 4 basic steps. The first is to ask for God's blessing, peace or love on all the places you go and people you encounter during the week. As you watch this next chapter, begin to think of how you can start applying it in your everyday environment.
Step 1 of Luke10t teaches us to pray for God's blessing on people.
Peace to this house. This was the instruction given to the disciples of how to greet people when they were sent out. He tells them to go out and ask His blessing of peace on people and places. This is our first instruction.
Hey, our Lord, I just want to thank you for today. Just pray that you'd keep us safe, keep us in the water. Just pray for some fellowship and some good ways, Lord. I just pray for your hand of protection and just your guidance out there, Lord. I just pray these things in Jesus' name, amen.
As I walk around this neighborhood, my eyes are not blind to the despair, the hopelessness, the empty temporary distractions keeping them in bondage, an attempt to distract themselves from their realities. But Father, since you came into my life, I realized that my life has meaning and purpose, and I pray that you open people's eyes to see that you have a plan and purpose for them too. As I walk around this neighborhood, Father, I pray for your blessing here. May you pour out your best in this community. May you bring things into line as you desire, so that every single person may come to meet you. May you put things right. Amen.
One of my friends started telling me about this teaching she had begun to follow. She said it made Christianity so much more real to her. She said it was simple and easy to start implementing the teachings of Jesus right away. The teaching is called Luke10t, and it's based on Luke 10, when Jesus sent His disciples out. So I always saw prayer as like this big thing, all hallelujahs and amens and arms up and everything. But apparently it's quite easy to just start asking God's blessing on people. Wherever I went, it could be a silent prayer with my eyes wide open so that I could actually see the people and places I was praying for. And so I started to do it, even before each new task I started in the day. And as I walked around the halls of the university or shopping center or even in social settings, I could just start praying. So the other day, a friend and I are driving along the main road, just checking out all the clubs, bars and student hangouts. And instead of focusing on all the negative things, we just started praying. And it just felt so right, so meaningful. Like my heart was truly engaged, like God was truly listening to us.
Sometimes you really don't know how to pray God's blessing over people, but there's actually so many different areas we can pray into. So there's the acronym I've taught myself, and that helps me remember. Every letter in the word bless stands for a different point. Body, that is your health, protection, strength. Next letter, labor, that talks about your work, income, and security. Emotion, that's joy, peace, hope, and love. And social relationships, that's your marriage, family, friends, neighbors, and colleagues. Spiritual relationships, salvation, faith, grace, mercy, and spiritual growth.
Jesus stretches us by telling us to love our enemies. However, in order to love people, we need to forgive them first. Forgiveness is a key part of this radical lifestyle transformation.
It's pretty easy to practice step 1 and just walk around praying for the people that you like. But it gets way tougher when it's those people that just rub you up the wrong way. Like that person in traffic that's just driving you mad, or that lecturer that's just being a pain. What about those people that have made my life difficult? The ones that have wronged me, that I haven't yet forgiven? Like my family that's let me down, or my friends that have broken my trust. And the deeper the hurt, the harder it is to let go of those grievances.
Matthew 5 verse 43 to 48. You're familiar with the old written law, love your friend, and its unwritten companion, hate your enemy. I am challenging that. I'm telling you to love your enemies. Let them bring out the best in you, not the worst. When someone gives you a hard time, respond with the energies of prayer. For then, you're walking out your true selves, your God-created selves. This is what God does. He gives you His best, the sun to warm, and the rain to nourish, to everyone, regardless, the good, the bad, the nice, and the nasty. If all you do is love the lovable, do you expect bonus? Anybody can do that. If you only say hello to those that greet you, do you expect a medal? Any run-of-the-mill sinner does that. In a word, what I am saying is grow up. You're a kingdom subject. Now live like it. Live out your God-created identity. Live generously and graciously towards others, the way God lives towards you.
It's not so easy, this whole forgiveness thing. But I started to realize that it was affecting me way more than the people I was choosing to hold grudges against. I mean, really, it's not going to matter to them that much how I'm feeling in my heart towards them. But I realized that I was carrying the burden of it. Like I could feel the bitterness inside of me. If there's anyone that understands forgiveness, it's Jesus. I mean, His very own people not only rejected Him, they crucified Him. And so I just slowly started to give my hurt over to Him. I didn't have to pretend like the hurt wasn't there. It was. But I no longer had to carry it. And so I just started praying that God would help me forgive those people. And then that friend of mine, the one that suggested Luke10t, she said that I should take it a step further and not only forgive them, but also start praying God's blessing on those people. And at first, that really didn't make any sense. But then I realized the more I did it, the more free I felt. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't just disappear all of a sudden. But every time it's a decision you make and you choose to forgive and you choose to let those people go. And you allow God to heal your heart. And He does. And it's just so liberating.
We usually pray, "Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us." So, we must forgive other people. But sometimes, it is more than just forgiving other people. It is about forgiving ourselves and forgiving God too.
I used to feel condemned about my past and the way I lived. And when searching my heart, I realized that I also blamed God for certain things that had gone wrong in my life. Choosing to forgive God and asking Him to help me forgive myself really set me free.
There are people I come into contact with every day, and some I see more often than others. Sometimes all it takes is just to say something nice every now and then. A little encouragement never hurt anyone. I don't have to have any reference to God to affirm someone, especially if they don't yet believe in God. I just have to look out for the good points in the people around me and commend them for it. It's amazing how positively people respond. It's such an easy way to bless people.
I've made up my mind that I would look for opportunities to be a blessing to those around me every day. From my friends whom I love, to my colleagues who sometimes find it harder to agree with, to the stranger on the street that I have no relationship with. I can be a blessing every day.
With which of the four main characters did you most identify with? Why? Choose someone from the group to tell the story of each character's development in Luke10t as depicted in the video clip. Discuss this together in your group. It's such a simple concept and really anyone can do it. It's encouraging to know that the first part of a lifestyle transformation is as easy as a simple prayer with your eyes wide open. How are you going to start asking the blessing, peace, and love of God on the people, places, and tasks that you do every day? Think about it, write down some ideas, and discuss these in your group. There is nothing more wonderful for a person than the Lord's blessing, and this doesn't only need to be kept for the individual. Part of step 1 is about extending this blessing to organizations. Examples are your workplace, educational institution, shops, governmental offices, hospitals, or even police stations. Think of some organizations in your own area. Write them down and discuss in the group how you can begin to bring or be a blessing to these places. You may now want to discuss how you can extend this prayer of blessing on a person by praying into several areas of life, by using the acronym BLESS to remind you. Pick a partner and practice praying for each other into the different areas like body, which is their health and protection, labor, their work and financial security, emotions, these are things like joy, peace, hope, and love, social relationships, like their marriage or family, and spiritual relationships such as their salvation and spiritual growth. Isn't it encouraging how easy it is to pray God's blessings on someone? You don't ever have to run out of things to pray. But while it's still easy to pray for someone that you like, you may still struggle with the idea of doing the same for someone you don't really get along with. It's a key part of the step in our walk with Jesus that we deal with unforgiveness in our life. Take some time to pray into this area. Some unforgiveness is obvious, but there are also areas of our heart where the roots of bitterness are hidden. Ask God to bring these to the surface. Forgiveness is a process. Firstly, you have to acknowledge that the pain and unforgiveness are there and that you cannot hold on to it. Know that Jesus understands this, as he faced similar situations when he was a human being. Give your hurt over to him to dispense with as he sees fit. Now you can begin to forgive. And then you take it further and start to pray for them and ask for God's blessings, peace, and love on them. Start loving them with his love. Now you will really be set free. Take some time now and identify who you might still have to forgive. Discuss any unforgiveness and bitterness in your life. Have silent or corporate prayer to begin this process of forgiveness. Now, what happens after you've forgiven those who have wronged you? Is it necessary for you to now tell them and to try to be reconciled with them? Reconciliation requires the relationship to be restored, and it's not always necessary or wise to do so. This is a very sensitive situation and must be treated accordingly. Ask the Holy Spirit and trusted advisors for guidance. If the people you have forgiven are alive, and the hurt is not ongoing, and they know how you feel about them because of their poor behavior towards you, then this might be a good opportunity to let them know that you have forgiven them and extend the hand of reconciliation. This might not be immediately met with a positive response, and you may have to forgive them again. So think carefully or ask trusted advisors before approaching them. Discuss together if there are any people like this who are still alive and aren't still hurting you, and who might know about your ill feelings towards them. Work out what will be the best way to approach these situations and to let them know that you have forgiven them. Pray together about this in your groups or in pairs. Sometimes, however, it's maybe not the best approach to try and make contact again and tell the person that you've forgiven them, especially if the hurt is ongoing or if those people do not know about your feelings towards them. Are there any people in your life who still hurt you or who do not know about your feelings of unforgiveness? Discuss this together now. Also, discuss whether you might need to get help from a trusted friend or counselor. The last step of the forgiveness process is that we forgive ourselves and forgive God. Why is it important to forgive God and forgive ourselves? Again, discuss this with a group. Forgiveness goes both ways though, and if you're the person in the wrong that needs to be forgiven, there's no debate according to Jesus. He says in Matthew 5 verse 23 to 26, that you have to turn around and reconcile? Are there any people that you know you have wronged? Will you be able to apologize to them, rectify the situation if possible, and ask their forgiveness? How are you going to go about this reconciliation with them? Take some time to discuss this in pairs. Now that you have begun to deal with the very important process of forgiveness and reconciliation, you can take step 1 even further. Blessing people can be more than just a silent prayer. You can speak it by affirming and encouraging people. This can be done to a Christian or a non-Christian because everyone loves to be encouraged. Discuss how you can start affirming people you know as well as strangers. Practice this in the group setting. Firstly, find someone you know and affirm them for something. Next, choose someone that you might not know and encourage them. Even if you have to think about it for a while, always keep the encouragement sincere. Through doing small acts of kindness, you are actually becoming a blessing to people. This isn't necessarily about meeting needs. It's about doing something unnecessarily kind which makes them feel good. Think of some creative ways in which you can perform a random act of kindness for the people in your daily environment and discuss this with each other. You might even get some good ideas from each other. By now, you should have a good grasp of step 1. You might find that you do this step more often than the others. You now have nothing stopping you from carrying out the first part of Luke10t and being a blessing to those around you.